Let's hit up Discord. Let's hit up Facebook. Wonder if I can get Streamlabs to automatically post on those too. Or if it'll just do Twitter. Doo-doo-doo. We can use a little more high end. Down a little. Is the title not up to date? Yeah, it should be. At least the title to me is reading correctly. It's Pick a Pedal. Which can go, in all kinds of directions. Also, what's up, guys? Well, you're out of luck. I don't have any wigs. We probably need to update guitar command. I wonder if my light got moved back again, or if my light's just kind of burning out, because it seems like we're a little dark again. Might need to move it closer. Well, let's start with one apiece at first. And then give it a few minutes. Right now I can do basically 5 9-volt pedals off of the daisy chain. And then stuff that has their own power supplies, we're pretty much just limited by the number of outlets that I have, which would probably be like 3 or 4 free outlets at the moment. And remember the doc, the pedal list is in the gear section of the Discord, the Google Doc. But I said, let's start, just pick like one apiece, and then we'll go from there. All the pedals. I don't have anywhere close to enough cables. And we'd probably blow the circuit breaker down here. There have been a few experiments people have done where they've hooked up, enormous numbers of pedals, and it usually just turns into a wall of white noise. You get just so much hiss after a while, and so much saturation. I've been in a situation where that happened. I went to a boutique guitar and amp show that was held in a hotel, and every vendor there, every maker there had their own hotel suite where they had their stuff set up in the front room of the suite, and they just slept in the back. But whenever we were in the amp section, they would have these guys who would bring their entire amp lines, just whole sets of like fancy 100-watt stacks and stuff like that, and they'd all be playing at once, and you couldn't hear anything, because it just turned into this mush. The entire floor of the hotel just turned into this audible mush. But whenever someone would turn the amp up and like hit a power chord, you'd see all of the lights go, and you just hear the power drop, like the amp's voltage drop. Apparently they ticked off the hotel manager, and we're like, what did you expect? You have like 150 electric guitar and amp makers renting out your entire hotel. You should have been prepared for this. I might even have that on video, because we shot a bunch of video footage at that show. Because we were trying to play a satellite amplifier's Omega Mark II, which was like a 50-watt plexi type amp. And he dimed it, and we hit a chord, and everything just kind of went like, and slowly faded back up. If you want to crank them at NAMM, you have to bring an isolation booth. They've built several small ones, like maybe 6 or 7 small isolation booths, kind of scattered throughout the floor, where you can take stuff like acoustic guitars if you want to hear them, but you can't really get amps or anything in there. So if you're an amp maker at NAMM and you really want something cranked, you have to bring your own booth and build it there in your booth. Because NAMM literally has noise police. They have guys that walk around with dB meters that stand next to your booth and make sure you're not breaking the rules. And if you exceed the limit like more than twice, then you get a fine. So right now I just have standard reverb and delay on. I'll leave them there because reverb and delay are kind of all-purpose effects. I'll leave them there once you guys start picking pedals. We'll add them, and then once we get to enough where I need to start swapping stuff out, we'll start removing the reverb and delay and swapping the new stuff in, or other reverbs and delays in. This is the standard setup we have, the kilobyte and the context. No, never been hired to play at a NAMM booth before. I've done demos for stuff at smaller shows and things like that, but I've never been hired to play at NAMM. Why? Why does... How many times do I have to add the word flanger? Automod really hates the word flanger, apparently. So the EHX flanger, you mean the flanger hoax? Hey, Kaz, what's up? Okay, so Ovasad wants the Germanium 4 Big Muff. Ride wants the flanger. I guess the flanger, you gotta mean the flanger hoax, because I think that's the only... Yeah, that's the only EHX I have that'll do flanging, or that is a flanger. I need to check the list myself. Make sure. Let me back this up a little bit, see if we get a little better. My phone going off like crazy. You want to pick a pedal, Kaz? 100 points to pick a pedal for me to add. The full list of pedals is in the Discord, in the gear section of the Discord. Oh yeah, there you go. So I got the link. So far we got flanger. So far we got the Germanium Big Muff is kind of like a fuzzy overdrive. How's the guitar level out there? I've got it turned down a little bit in room. It looks like I'm okay on meters though. Is the guitar nice and loud and clear out there? Well, let's see. I can bring it up. I have to start reducing my room volume a little bit. Basically, I want to make sure that the voice and the guitar are, you know, both kind of balanced. Treble boosters. I have a couple pedals that'll do treble booster. The 9-volt Nirvana Dyno, or not the Dyno Drive, the Bronto Boost does treble boost, and oh, what's the other one? Hold on, let me look at my let me look at the list myself. There is definitely another one or two that'll do treble boost. I don't have like a straight up Rangemaster copy or anything though. I'd like to get one at some point. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Let's see. Which one is it? Actually, that one, the Boostasio, kind of does that, but that'd be a pain in the butt to hook up. Oh, the Onomatopoeia does kind of a treble boost sort of thing. It's a little cleaner than most treble boosters are, than like Rangemaster style treble boosters are. It does a similar sort of effect though. What else? The throwback will do kind of treble boosty things. I'm slightly concerned there's an issue with it though. I'm gonna have to look into it. It was sounding a little crackly last time that I played it. Yeah, those would probably be the best bets. Yeah. So I would go, if you're going to do treble boost, I would go with either the 9-volt Nirvana, the Bronto boost, or the Emma Onomatopoeia. Bronto boost. All right. Because that one, I think that one is based on a. I want to say it's based on like the Hornsby Skews treble booster, one of the other old ones, but it's really modified. All right, so I thought ahead. I planned in advance. I hooked up the loop box so I can just mute the whole chain while I go grab pedals. So, first 3 pedals. 2 gain pedals and a flanger. There's one. Flanger. Alright. So let's start getting stuff worked out. So we probably want the booster to go in front. Feels like it's got a battery in it. It's actually battery only. I don't know if you're familiar, Kaz, if you're familiar with a guy named Joe Gagan. He's mostly known for making wah pedals now. But this is 9-volt Nirvana was his first company. Back in the early 2000s, he made a lot of fuzz pedals and did a lot of DIY circuits and put them online too. But this was his original company before he started doing stuff under his own name. All right, germanium 4. That one's going to go on the power supply. Yeah, he posts on there sometimes. He kind of got himself, I can't remember exactly how the story went, but he got himself in trouble with like his creditors with the first company and wound up losing the company, I think. And then came back after a few years specializing sort of in wah-wah pedals. Alright, so let's start getting stuff hooked up. But I have 2 of the 3. I have the Bronto boost, which is this one, like I said, is kind of treble boost all the way up to kind of fuzzy stuff. Then I have the Dyno Drive, which is like a modified fuzz face to be a little bit more like an overdrive or distortion. Then he made one called the Dyno Fuzz, which was more of a full-blown fuzz, which is the one that I don't have. And then he made a lot of one-offs and weird models too. Made a really cool one called the Sky Ripper, which did all sorts of oscillation and crazy stuff. But hardly ever see him on the used market. I bought him off him back when he was a member of Harmony Central, if you've ever been on the Harmony Central forums. All right, so let's see. We want to go. Let's go from the booster into the germanium 4. Going to run out. Let's see, we'll get our loop hooked up here. Loop into treble boost into germanium 4. Let's turn the volume down on this stuff so we don't explode ourselves when we turn them on. That's probably a good idea. Probably. All right, then we got to hook the flanger up. The flanger has its own power supply, so we'll have to plug it in somewhere else. This big boy right here is one of the most ridiculous pedals I've ever played. It is completely unpredictable. All right, let's see. Blended output. It's also really annoying the I/O runs from left to right instead of right to left. It's absolutely infuriating. Why they did it that way, the world may never know. Let me take a Tylenol real quick. Arm hurts a little. Another patch cable. Should I use this one? Use one of these. Use one of these. Oh no, that's not going to reach. Dang it. This one might make it. Might make it. Yeah. All right. So that is treble booster, germanium overdrive / distortion / fuzz, depending on how you set it up, into a big goofy flanger chorus through zero modulator weird thing that does weird things. All right, where's its power supply? Over here. There we go. This guy has to run on 18 volts. All right. Looks like we live. Hopefully the treble booster has a battery in it. It did last time we got it out. I don't remember removing it. Oh yeah, turn the volume over here too. Alright, so let's bring a reverb down some for the moment. Let's start by dialing in the germanium 4. Let's dial it in for just kind of like a light sort of a light gain to start with, since we're going to be pushing some more gain. bringing the bias down on it too. That'll start giving it a little texture. Alright, so that's the OD side. Heck yeah, Alec. Thank you so much for that, dude. Thank you so much for sticking it out. Throwing me that support. K-pop emotes. I thought you guys were joking when you brought that up the other night, but then I got on here to watch a video, and they're like, "It's K-pop month." All right, so now let's dial in the drive side. So this has the Germanium 4 Big Muff. Oh Lord. You've got like a whole collection going. But the Germanium 4 Big Muff has like a side that's essentially the same as a pedal they call the Germanium OD, which is this very kind of low gain, but sort of colorful overdrive. Then the other side is a distortion, so a bit more gain, and we have the ability to both change the bias and to actually reduce the voltage, so we can make it clip a lot more aggressively. So let's dial it in too. So you can kind of hear, even with its gain all the way down, we're more aggressive. It really needs a tone control, though. They put a tone control on the overdrive side, but not on the distortion side, and the distortion side needs it really badly. Because it is bright, bright, bright. Let's bypass the reverb for a minute. So you can get it pretty rank and ripping. You know, we started the volts enough, and then we start getting Velcro. And then we can stack that with the overdrive side. Alright. So now let's dial in the treble booster. Alright, our gain's set pretty low right now. Turn our tone control down because, you know, treble boosting. Bring our treble down on the amp some too. So then let's stack that into the germanium 4. So by itself, plus the germanium 4, really thickens it up. All right, now let's start getting goofy and let's start dialing in the flanger. Okay. Thick. It's thick yet crispy. Crispy. Yeah, I already had to re-allow the word flanger, but with auto mod, because apparently he didn't remember like the 12 other times we've had to allow it before. I should have put one of these after the flanger just to boost our level back up, because we always get a little bit of volume drop with modulation like this. Alec picked the pedal. Alright, so now let's start adding. Alright, let's use this one to tailor. Hey Grim, what's going on? Let's slow that down. Let's get truss stacking into the drive side. It's going to get a lot hairier. We'll see what we can do with it though. See if it might just be too much. The Snake Plissken theme. If we get it dialed in just right, we should be able to get some through zero flanging here. Oh man, it's like this. It's almost this crumbly vocal kind of sound, like on the sort of tails as the gain sort of fades down. Yeah, it's not a subtle pedal. Nice lo-fi sound. take it by your response that it wasn't you. Dude, you've been working on that thing for like a month? How do you do that? Yeah. Like, I thought it was basically yours by this point. Oh, that's a shame. Well, that's starting to get a really complex kind of sweep. Hey, PV Allen, what's up? Yeah, this sound is really kind of like lo-fi and textural. Oh wait, I forgot I had 2 Tylenol. Let's go. Very moody sound. Reverb level up a little bit. By the way, I don't know if you've been here for the pick a pedal challenge before, but if you use your points, 100 points will let you pick a pedal from my pedal collection to add into the mix here. So right now we have a treble booster, a germanium overdrive, and a flanger, plus reverb and delay. But we can change. different ones out as we go along. So the whole idea is that you guys pick the stuff that I use, and we kind of see what we can come up with them, you know, across the course of the stream. So kind of like spontaneous composition, and just sort of exploring sounds and textures and things. Let's bring the feedback up a little bit. To be really careful, because there's a certain point where this guy will start oscillating and go crazy. He's going to make our sweep, though, have more kind of wow, more resonance to it. Oh, hey, where'd the link go? Up here. Here, I'll relink the, if it'll let me copy it. Come on now. Well, dang it, it won't let me copy in Streamlabs. Hey, somebody, Ofacade or somebody, can you relink the Google Doc with the pedals in it? Yeah, in the chat. That Google Doc has a list of the pedal collection that's available to pick stuff from. But well, I mean, the idea though is to add to this, or to tweak it, change it, modify it in some way. I've got, let's see, how many more power supplies or how many power spots I got. We can do at least 2 more before we have to replace something. So it would just be adding to whatever we've got now. Right now, Alec, we have a 9-volt Nirvana Bronto boost, which is doing the treble boosting kind of fuzziness. We have the Electro Harmonix Germanium 4 Big Muff, which is basically just kind of adding a subtle kind of germanium overdrive. And then we have the Electro Harmonix Flanger Hoax doing the flanging, the Caroline Kilobyte Delay doing the digital delay, and the Red Panda Context doing reverb. You can never have too much delay. And depending on which delay you pick, they can do really different things. You know, some of them do really extreme modulation. Some of them can do different kind of time splits. All kinds of stuff like that. Alright, so Alec wants to add a phaser. Let's see, that's the one the switch was being janky on. We'll have to see if that one will work. Okay, so the DM3. So the DM3 is going to be a really dark, kind of short delay, and it's going to add kind of like a big washy pad to the sound. There are some fun things we can do with it though, like we can get it oscillating and use it almost like its own instrument if we can dial it in just right. Okay, so we're adding a phaser and we're adding an analog delay. The analog delays on the list are the Boss DM3, which is about 300 milliseconds max. The Jacques Prisoner, which is about the same, but it's a little bit brighter and has modulation, and it doesn't oscillate. And the Moog MF delay, which is about 600 milliseconds and is super, 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 super dark. I do have a tape delay. I do have an Echoplex, but it's broken and needs restoration, and I don't know who to send it to fix it. Sadly, it's just been sitting on my shelf for years. Needs a new tape cartridge and just needs an overhaul, a mechanical overhaul in general. Found it in the back of a music store, just kind of in the repair section. I guess somebody brought it in to get fixed and abandoned it. The Moog, the MF delay. Let's see, where's the delay section? Let's see, yeah, Boss is analog. Yeah, the Moog MF delay, the Jacques. Yeah, all the rest are digital, different variations. But any one of those will work. They'll add something different to the sound. All right. So we'll mute our loop. I'll go grab the phaser and the other delay, and we'll get them in line. Where should we put the phaser? Before or after the flanger? We definitely want to put the delay after it. We'll try it and see. All right, so here is the Ibanez PH99 Classic phase. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Ibanez made this series of pedals they called the Classic series, which were all the something 99. So this is the Classic phase. There's an FL99 Classic Flanger, which is probably the most collectible of the group. They bring 200, 250-ish bucks these days, quite often when they show up. There's an AD99 analog delay, which is very similar actually to sort of the early Boss analog delays. And then an RC99 rotary chorus. And you can find the chorus and the delay cheapish, like 70 to 100, 115, 120 bucks. The phaser is usually like 120 to 150, and like I said, the flanger is really rather expensive because it uses bucket brigade chips, which are pretty collectible. But they're great, great, great sounding pedals. But they do tend to develop pops in the switches, and this one is getting one or has one. So hopefully it'll behave and won't be obnoxious. We'll get them hooked up. Right. Patch cables. Then here's our MF delay, which is pretty cool. It actually has a drive circuit built in, so you can overdrive the. You can use the this almost like a preamp and overdrive the signal in a really distinct way, because the Moog drive circuit's pretty unique. You can also use an expression pedal to control either the delay time or the feedback. So you can use an expression pedal to push it into oscillation. And if you use it to extend the delay time, you could also use a dummy plug, which I do sometimes, which is just like a single plug with nothing connected to it. And that extends the delay time to a full second, which makes it really dark and gritty and grainy because it's working that chip like crazy. I mean, like a looper like a playback looper. All right. So let's just do both of these after. Yeah, the only I mean, I have a couple rack units that'll do it. Though they do it via delay rather than like an express or an explicit looping design. The only pedal looper that I have is one from a company called Montreal Assembly, which is the 856 for Zeller's ASN, which is a ridiculously complicated name for a ridiculously complicated pedal. But it's not a traditional looper. Like, it's not one that just, records what you do and plays it back. It's one that records what you do, plays it back, chops it into tiny pieces, plays it back backwards into different rhythms and all sorts of stuff. It's more of a mangling looper uh, than a traditional looper. But it's a lot of fun. You can make some really gorgeous sounds with it too. But super steep learning curve and really unpredictable. Let me work that switch a bunch. Hopefully get any bad behavior out of it. All right, so we're going to run out from here. Actually, we can use shorter cable for this. By going here, we start getting a bunch of pedals, and suddenly cable management becomes a real task. So we're going to go out here, in here. So because you guys are both left to right, we should flip you. Out there, in there, in there. Okay, good. All right. Out here to in here. And then out here. Oh man, don't be like this. Don't be like this. You go up and under. Now we're gonna have a longer cable for that. That one won't work. That one won't work. Well, you might be skinny enough to do it. All right, I think we're live. Hopefully everything doesn't explode when we turn the loop back on. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind having like a Jam Man or a what I'd really like to find is the Gibson / Oberheim Echoplex Pro rack unit. I think that's probably the best like standalone looping unit that's been made in really probably like 20 or 30 years, whenever that came out, like early 2000s maybe. Oh dear. All right, so let me trace my route here and make sure. Okay, we're in here, out here, in here, out here, in here, out here, in here. All right. Let's just bypass that to be safe. Okay, turn that on. Turn that on. Oh, okay, okay. I see why. There we go. That pedal, the flanger pedal, has 3 separate outputs. You have a blended output, direct output, and a wet output. And we were plugged into just the wet output. Alright, so let us I think this phaser might be killing us. This foot switch on the phaser is not cooperating. Like it won't even engage anymore. Gonna stay off. All right, so let's take the phaser out because the phaser foot switch is not behaving. Sorry, Alec. Let's go in here and make sure we're good from good for everything else. No. We have a bad patch cable, maybe? I think we may have ourselves a bad patch cable. Because we definitely got power there, and we were working. We were working beforehand. So let's forget about that cable. Let's put it over here. Let's make sure we're still good this way. Yeah, we're still good that way. Run and hide. So if we're still good this way, we know we should be good here. Which means we know. Yep, okay. So scratch that cable. Sadly, RIP. Alright, well actually that means though we can put the phaser back in. Start moving everything this way. What is this? What is up with this switch jank? Absolute jank. Where'd that spare cable go? Maximum jankiness. Alright, so let's see if we pass signal now with the phaser in line too. Okay, we're getting stuff through. Alright, so our analog delay, our Moog delay gives us this big soft. We'll turn the reverb off so you can hear it on its own. big, soft, dark delay. And we can really dirty it up with the drive control. And it creates more like a sort of pad or layer to play on top of. That's one of the real advantages of analog delays, especially ones that are voiced really nicely like this, is that it's almost like it gets out of the way of what you're playing. You know, it's so dark compared to your original signal that it doesn't get in the way as much. It just kind of fills out the space underneath everything. So compare that to the digital delay that we were using. It's a lot more kind of accurate to what we're playing, and so it kind of stays in the same space. For better or for worse. Alright, so let's use both delays and see what we can come up with. So that's both of them set, sounds like they're pretty close to the same time, actually. Yeah, those are both set to almost the same time, just kind of accidentally. So let's take the digital delay and let's set it a little bit shorter. Alright, so then when we stack them, yeah, there we go. Now we start to get multi-tap. Alright, so let's see. Let's add a reverb back. Let's increase the pre-delay on the reverb so the reverb attack doesn't obstruct our actual delays quite so much. Like if we do no pre-delay, the reverb starts to eat it up right away and it kind of smears our repeats a little bit. Dude, I ain't stealing somebody else's gimmick. All right, let's add. Let me mute the loop real quick and see if our phaser will cooperate. So let's add. We can add positive or negative feedback to it. So let's add some positive feedback. So, for instance, without, right now I'm just on the neck pickup. Without our delays, just the phaser, it's fairly subtle. This phaser is switchable between 4-stage and 8-stage, I think. Let's bring our depth up some. Let's get our germanium OD giving us a little boost up front. We can hear the difference. So this is positive feedback, which gives us this kind of narrow ear. If we go to negative feedback, we'll get more of a wow. And we can also change the waveform to a square wave, which will give us wow. And then we can switch on the extra stages, which will give us more depth. Whoa. Make it more synth-like. None of these pedals have stereo inputs. I do have some that have stereo ins and outs, but none of these do. These are all mono. Ow, 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 nose itches. Alright, so let's get our delays back. Let's bring the preamp down, that drive preamp. Giving us some boost. Okay, then bring in our second delay. Alright, then bring in our reverb. definitely like contemplative indie film soundtrack music. I don't know anybody personally who would be a good option for that, for singing like classic metal stuff. I know a few of the guys from the old metal bands actually do offer lessons in it though. Only a handful of them are like actually properly trained. All right, so let's add the flanger in on top of this and see how silly we can get. Our noise floor is just going to go up every time. So if you catch like a stronger attack, like right at the peak of the phaser's wave, it just makes the harmonics go blap. So you probably need to reduce the feedback on that a little bit to make that less spiky. All right, so now let's add the actual drive back in, the treble booster. square wave. See how that gives us. Gives it a little more percussive kind of quality. Yeah, definitely getting into outer space territory here. Hey, Zompal, how are you? Pneumatic oil on your fingers? Ugh. Definitely start getting into that X-Files territory. If we're not careful. try to see if I can get the Moog delay to ride the edge of oscillation. If we can find just the right spot on the feedback knob. Nobody covers the shredded. I don't even remember them, though it's been a very, very, very long time since I've played StarCraft. Hey, I think we found it. Starting to create like some very slightly Yeah, it just took off into space. So once it got to like really oscillating there, then I started changing the time, and as you start to shorten the time, it causes the pitch to just go up and 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 up, and then the repeats start to blend together and make almost like a solid oscillating kind of sound. You know, so instead of hearing that separation, doot 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 doot, we start to hear brrrr till it becomes like a solid. Almost a pitch. Almost a pitch. We can't quite get it to a distinct pitch, but very close. Whew. So that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7 pedals. No, I think it's probably time to change the pedals up. So we've worked with most of these for an hour or so. So if you guys want to pick some new pedals, now is the time. There was a thing called the hot hand. Ow, ow, ow. Nose is itching. A thing called the hot hand that you could use with certain pedals, like if they had an expression jack, or with Source Audio Pedals, which was the company that made it, which was a unit that you could wear on your fingers, on your hand, your picking hand, and it would wirelessly control the expression, like the control voltage for anything you had the ground unit plugged into. So you could, you know, if you had a filter, you could sweep the filter just by moving your hand. It was pretty cool. It never really caught on, though. This is dry guitar sound. So yeah, get to picking. Pick some new pedals. That was a treble booster, a germanium overdrive, the flanger, a phaser, an analog delay, a digital delay, and a reverb pedal. Yeah, kind of like the Chaos Pad. There were the guy from Muse and a couple other people have the Chaos Pad, you know, essentially built into their guitar too, which lets them do a lot of really wild stuff right in the guitar. Got some lint in my nose or something, man. Driving me crazy. Ow. Yeah, definitely a ground issue in that pedal. The ugly face. Oh, man. You got no idea what you're in for. All right, so the ugly face is a fuzz filter combination, and it is disgusting sounding. Absolutely disgusting sounding. Use the if you're not familiar, use the Google Doc list up above to pick pedals to see what pedals I have available in my collection. Oh yeah, the D-beam. Yeah, very, very similar. Yeah, the Moog does really good slapback. That kind of like a reggae delay too. Need to bring the drive down a little. All right, so we need. Let's say we need you guys to pick at least two more pedals. So Ovasad picked a fuzz. The possessed. Oh jeez. So you guys are just going whole hog sonic destruction now. All right, let me start unhooking some of these guys and getting ready. The possessed is, yeah, let's get at least one more. The possessed is a pseudo random glitch delay. No, dude, you already picked one. Let somebody else pick one first. Plus, if we're doing the ugly face, we definitely don't need the noise swash. That's too much overlap. Yeah, somebody else pick something. Yeah. Okay, so we could do if you want vibe, we can do we could do the pitch pirate. Let's do the pitch pirate because the other vibe is a big 18-volt goofy thing that's a pain in the butt to hook up. Emma, which Emma? I have three Emmas. I have an Emma compressor, I have an Emma like sort of boost light overdrive, and then I have an Emma high gain like HM2 style metal distortion. Just really raw sounding. Transmogrifier, the compressor, that'll probably fit good. Like it doesn't change the sound hugely, but it'll be a good combination with the other stuff we've got, I would bet. All right, so I'll show you guys the pedals we were using as we unhooked them. This is what we were using for the flanger. Again, the EHX flanger hoax. Then we had the Moog MF delay doing our dark analog delay and oscillations. Then our phase was coming from the Ibanez PH99 Classic phase. Our kind of tone shaping and light overdrive was coming from the EHX Germanium 4 Big Muff, which is not a big muff at all, but I guess they have the name, so they got to use it. And then our heavier fuzz was coming from the 9-volt Nirvana Bronto Jr. treble booster slash fuzz slash overdrive, depending on how you dial it in. Then our regular delay and reverb were coming from the standard Caroline Kilobyte digital delay and Red Panda context that we always use. All right, so we need possessed, we need ugly face, and we need transmogrifier. BRB, run to the pedal case. We need the pitch part because we're going to do some vibe. We're going to do some vibrato. The ugly face. Oh Lord. You know this pedal's going to be fun when it's built into a junction box. This was a design and build by a guy named Tim Escobedo, which if you are familiar at all with the DIY pedal world on the internet, he is like the god of the DIY pedal world. He designed so many circuits and then gave them all away. You know, published them all online, told everybody build them, sell them, do whatever you want with them. Even helps people troubleshoot them. And there are tons and tons and tons and tons of pedals on the market that are basically just his DIY designs that other people have built and in fancier boxes and marketed. But this was an original one actually built by him. All right, then our compressor, our Emma Transmogrifier compressor. Our Mid-Fi Electronics Pitch Pirate vibrato. This can do chorus and vibrato. We'll fiddle with it. It gets really wacky. And then, boy oh boy, the massive Possessed from Japan granular glitch buffer sampler delay thing. Pretty much makes you sound like you're playing through a broken CD, and amongst other things. Has cool artwork on the back too. It's pretty sweet. I've never been entirely sure if this pedal worked properly or not because it's so weird. And you listen to demos and you can't really tell. But I've always had this wonder in the back of my mind, like, is this thing actually working properly? Let's see. Okay. Probably want compressor. Normally we would want the compressor first, but we might get interesting results putting it at the end in this case. No, let's put it first. Let's put it first to start with anyway. All right, so we are going in to U. All right, and then we'll power you with a separate power supply since you're wonky. And then we're going to go from ugly face into compressor. And then we're going to go from, I don't think that cable will reach. No, it might. We'll go from compressor into the vibrato, and then we'll go from, let's get into the short patch cable. I need to get some real legit patch cables that can actually make, because most of my patch cables are just little junky guys that I've just kind of accumulated over the years. It would be nice to have some good high quality patch cables, or maybe I just need to get famous enough on the interwebs to get those companies that make them to give them to me. That's the real goal. Sponsor me. Give me free cables. Alright, and then Possessed into loop. Okay, now we gotta power everything. So U, then U, then U, and then we're gonna run this one on its own power. Flanger so I can put it up. Hope you work. I haven't used the ugly face in 2 years. I'm familiar with a few of them. I know that guy. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I'm familiar with his channel. He seems like a really good player, but his content is super clickbaity, which I think is just a broad problem with YouTube in general, not just YouTube music, but a lot of the YouTube music stuff is just straight up clickbaity. especially the titles and the way they treat everything. Everything's got to be a list of like, you know, the 10 greatest whatever, the 10 things you're doing wrong, the 10 things, you know, you should practice, the whatever. That drives me nuts. That is not my thing at all. You know, even though some of them do have like actual good information and, you know, high quality videos, obviously in most cases. That's not really my jam. Which, I mean, is part of why I'm doing Twitch and really doing the Twitch thing more than YouTube. I kind of like the sort of live dynamic of it. Being able to interact and kind of, you know, just go as we go and see what we can come up with and see what we can create. Because I feel like, you know, when you really get into the YouTube side of things, like the content creation side of things, you are straight up making product, and like the way the algorithm works, you know, you have to make things within a fairly narrow scope in order to be successful as a product, you know, or as a producer. Then there's some of those guys are just full of crap too, but I'm not familiar with Paul Davids. I don't think that name doesn't sound familiar to me. All right, so let's see. Fuzz compressor. Yeah, let's keep the compressor after that. Fuzz compressor vibrato possessed. All right, so we should be good. We should be good. Let me make sure everything switches on. This one we won't know till we turn it on. Yep, that one's alive. Uh-oh. Something's up with it. Might be the foot switch. Yeah. This is what you get when you have a pedal built in a junction box. I think it's grounding out somewhere. This is actually not really that different from what it's supposed to sound like, though. Like, it is not a pretty sounding pedal. So it uses basically, so this is a big IC, like an IC based fuzz that uses the IC at the maximum amount of gain it's capable of putting out, and then runs that into a filter that's capable of acting as a free running oscillator. So basically the fuzz section sounds pretty much like a chainsaw, and then you run it into a filter that turns it into laser beams, and it is just completely destructive sounding. We're getting a little bit through now, so we're getting enough signal through where I suspect a wire is just stray and touching something in here. Either the foot switch could be failing because it is a crappy foot switch, or there's a wire touching something and grounding us out somewhere. Because like the signal is getting through and the pedal is behaving properly, but like it's just getting choked down into nothing. All right, well let's take it out. We can get the noise swash since he wanted Ophisad wanted the noise swash anyway, and it'll do somewhat similar things. I'll have to pull this sucker apart and see what's going on with it. It's a ridiculous pedal. Look up, just like when you get a minute, go on YouTube and look up the ugly face fuzz, and you'll kind of get an idea. You'll get an idea of what it's about. I'm going to put it on the bench while I'm thinking about it. So instead, yeah, probably this one. That's the way to go. Instead, we'll bring in the 4MS noise swash, which can do some similar things. It can do a lot more, obviously. It is a lot harder to control. A lot harder to control. It's part of the fun. Oh crap, the power supply slipped off the back of the desk. The 4MS Sound Collective has made a great many extremely strange pedal in their day. Woo! Ridiculously bright blue LED. Don't look at it. Close your eyes. Mute the amp there. Alright, then you gotta get guitar hooked back up. Yeah, man, blue and white LEDs will destroy you. The Pitch Pirate has a bright white LED that you can't look at. Just cannot. Alright. So start dialing in our compressor. And this compressor will get up into limiter territory. Start getting really noisy when we get our ratio that high. Set it for a really slow attack, really long release. Start getting some splat. I don't usually set a compressor anywhere near that aggressively, you know. You know, usually something more like this, like if here's our dry. About here's where I'm going to have the compressor set. Enough just to give us a little bit more lift. This is a fairly chewy, a fairly thick sounding compressor. It doesn't really do super transparent compression very well. Alright, so let's get some verb on here. Let's go with, we were just using a big hall reverb. Let's go with a gated reverb. I'll do some interesting things. what a gated reverb does is the gate will clamp or cut off the end of the reverb tail. It's really useful if you're playing with a bunch of distortion, bunch of other effects, because it sort of keeps the reverb from eating everything up if you don't want it to. It's also really good for cheesy 80s drum sounds. All right, and then let's dial in our vibrato. And at a lower depth, the vibrato is usually just going to sound like a chorus. And right now we're on a sine wave. Now, the fun thing about this particular pedal, the Pitch Pirate, is the range of the depth control is ridiculous. So this is the depth all the way down. So we just have a really nice chorus sound. This is moving the depth up to about 8 o'clock. Right, so we're pretty much into seasick territory. 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock. 12 o'clock. We'll just max it all the way out. This is would be at about 5 o'clock. So we can get this like distorted, warped tape warble. Then we can change from, let's say, sine wave to a triangle wave. Yeah, pretty much. And from a triangle wave to a square wave. In which case we just hear straight up bleep bloops. If we go full wet with it. And because the depth is actually increased by the delay time in the delay line, we start to hear sort of a separation. We actually get a little couple milliseconds of delay between when we pick and when the note comes out, or when the affected signal comes out, because it has to be fairly heavily delayed to get that amount of pitch shifting. So at lower blends, we can use it almost like a modulated slapback delay. As we start to get past the 12 o'clock and move towards full wet, children, we start to get that kind of separation, and that kind of lag. Wow. Let's go back to sine wave and just get completely nauseous. If we want to use it more like a VB2, like a regular sort of vibrato, then we want to bring that depth down, because obviously they don't get anywhere near as extreme. But we can still get, probably need to be at about, maybe about 9 o'clock on the depth knob to be in sort of traditional vibrato pedal range. I think if you're using it with such an extreme setting, your concern is not really being in tune that much, you know. And our speed range will go all the way up into the audio range, basically, especially when we run square wave. So we can start getting derpy ring modulatory sorts of things going. But you can find some really pretty sounds in it too. Let's bring the mix down a hair. Find just the right spot. It becomes more kind of, more sort of dreamy. Alright, so now let's check out the Possessed before we add the fuzz. We'll add the fuzz last. Again, the Possessed, you don't really kind of know what it's going to do. It's meant to essentially be like a random slicer and playback thing. So it gives us a buffer. It captures a certain amount of the input signal, you know, like a second or something like that. And then plays it back modulated with an LFO that breaks it up into little tiny slices, and we can control essentially how random the LFO modulation is. So we could have it play it back, da, 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 or we can have it skip it, shift it up different pitches in random places, and we can get really derpy and crazy sounding. So the slicer in your pedal, no, most slicers are essentially kind of like hard tremolos, but they do it in a different way. So rather than using like straight an amplitude modulation circuit to create the tremolo effect, they usually will create like a copy. They'll record and sample your effect and then play it back dot 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 in like on off sorts of chunks, and you can assign sort of different rhythmic patterns for it to do that, for it to sort of chop your signal up in different ways. This one is doing it kind of at a smaller scale and randomly. So like the slicer, like the Boss slicer, which is probably what the one in the Zoom is based on, is going to give you whatever rhythm it's programmed for, but it's not going to just randomly play back the notes that you play into it whenever it feels like it, which is kind of what this one's doing. So if I increase the randomness of it, go to maximum randomness. So basically, it's playing them back. It's playing the samples back at different, at different speeds. Yeah, the Windows errors. And I can change the length of the buffer. Say I go the opposite direction. So that's full wet on that. We can blend, we can use it kind of subtly if we move more towards the dry side. And use it more as a background effect, which is pretty interesting. Then when we do that, it becomes almost like a delay in a certain way. Like the playback is almost like the trails of a delay. We can increase the speed at which it plays the samples back. And that clicking is coming from it scrubbing the playhead, so to speak, of the buffer. If you just strum some chords, you get some really, really, really odd. Like your CD player is having a horrible, horrible, horrible problem. I like it at slightly slower speeds though, usually. Hey, Keep, what's up? Alright, so should we add the fuzz now? I'm relatively well. Doing okay, I guess. Doing okay. So now, let us add the fuzz. I don't remember which one of the... I think the right foot switch is the regular one, not the one that turns on the oscillator. Woo. Woo! Yeah, we definitely want the compressor back on. Alright, so let's see. What do we got? We've got pre-gain, we've got post-gain. Blue LEDs. We've got the pre-clipping switch, we've got the gate. The gate is actually, I think, off at the moment too, which is hilarious. Can't even read that because the font is ridiculous. Treble. Alright, so do you ever wish your guitar sounded like a satanic duck? And it goes into oscillation super easily. So if you turn the pre-clipping switch to the left, it starts oscillating. Let's just turn all the knobs down. It's not broken. It's supposed to do this. Like, go look up videos of the 4MS noise swash. It is meant to do this. So this is probably, I guess this is about the most normal sound you can get out of it. keep the compressor on after it to get control of anything that decides it's going to go nutty. Basically just slowly start turning knobs up. If you turn that one too fast, like cuts out completely. So it must be biasing some transistor or something in there. Probably anything that Adrian Belew played on. You know, he was on a bunch of stuff in the 80s and really all the way up to the early 90s, like Talking Heads stuff and a few other things. You can almost always guarantee that he's got some weird tone going on. I'm not even sure what this knob is doing. It probably only works in conjunction with another knob. They tend to do that. That's making my... Oh, man. That's make... You ever hear sounds that make your eardrums do, like, weird little spasms? Like they can contain certain frequencies or whatever, or certain shapes that just make your eardrum go like... Totally what I'm getting right now in the room. Honk. 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 What this pedal really needs is like a block diagram so you can see the order in which your signal is going through each of the different components, like which ones are feeding into each other, to make it a lot easier to understand what's doing what. Now, there's certain certain tones you can get with synthesizers too that'll do that. Certain square wave tones and stuff that'll kind of make your eardrums go like, whoa. You know, because your eardrum, in a certain sense, is a lot like the cone of a loudspeaker, and you know, square waves through a loudspeaker can do, well, stuff to it, can make them behave rather weirdly. Really, I'm thinking more like Excite Bike. That's literally just an inverted major third. More seasonally appropriate, yeah. The Dragnet intro thingy. Let's see. I can hear the little monologue, but I can't hear the music. Hold on. Stop it. Dragnet theme song. Oh yeah, bom ba 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 ba, bom ba ba bom. So that's in C. Down and down. Let's go to a darker reverb. Kind of a ripoff of In the Hall of the Mountain King. All right, so let's start adding some stuff in. Let's start getting stupid. Do without the delay, I think. Oh, this can get a lot more gain. It's just we start getting into to like screaming oscillation territory as we increase the gain on it. Like It's all your fault. It's all your fault. No, I'm not familiar with them. I haven't heard of them before. Anybody that was listening for chill vibes, just bailed. Oh man. I would like to get. I used to have a Maris Autobit Junior, which I think did the did glitch in a more controllable and usable way, but it didn't have any kind of like level or mix control, which made it really 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 difficult to integrate kind of smoothly into the rig. So I wound up selling it. But I would like to get something either like the Moleko Charlie Foxtrot, or maybe the Dreams or the hologram microcosm, or something that can do like the glitch and chop with a little more control over how you do it. Because this just kind of like randomly plays back these bursts, which means you have to be okay with just having random splats of glitch here and there. Something where you could time it in a little more interesting ways and control the lengths of the bursts more consistently. I think you could do, or would be a lot more useful. On the other hand, the Pitch Pirate is one of my favorite pedals of all time, and one of the first pedals that I really like lusted after. Where I listened to like demos of it and were like, I have to have this. I have to acquire this somehow. I bought the Possessed, the glitch pedal, because I wanted to sound like a band called The Books, which does a lot of stuff with like CD skipping and time manipulation that creates kind of glitchy effects. But it's too random to do kind of what they do. You can't use it judiciously. You just kind of let it do what it does, and then you deal with it. And it's chewy. Now let's slow that attack way down. less random you set it, the more you hear kind of complete phrases and chords come through. So I'll set the buffer longer. As we increase that, we start to play those back at different pitches and in different amounts, and cut it off at different points. Take that. All right. Well, that was fun. We had some it's pretty interesting adventures. Had a big deep space oscillating droney thing, and then had weird satanic duck noises and randomized glitch blues. think all in all, that's a pretty successful pick-a-pedal stream. Oh, don't you worry. Once I can freely spend more money on junk, there will be loads more. On top of all the immense amount of junk that's already there. Now, I much prefer having like actual units, actual pedals and rack units and stuff like that to work with. You know, I like turning the knobs. Yeah, I saw him. I'm going to research him when we get done here in a few minutes. That's pretty. All right. I think we're probably good for the evening there. That was plenty of pedal noodling and pedal explorations. But, lots of cable swapping. And now I've got to box all this junk back up and get it back in the pedal case. So thanks everybody for hanging out. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. We've got a Discord. If I can get the keyboard to work. There we go. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. That's where you can keep track of all the different stuff that we do and chat about guitar and music stuff all week long. This Friday, I think we're going to do something new. We're going to do a Friday night freakout. We're going to do like psychobilly and just psychedelic music in general. Anything that you might be able to apply the term freakout to. We can do traditional rockabilly and stuff too if you want. Yeah, Keep, thanks for stopping in again and hanging out again. It's always great to have you back in the stream. So start getting some stuff in mind though for Friday night, you know, psychobilly, psych rock, psychedelic music in general. rockabilly tango. Everything must become tango. Or else. All things Zappa. No, see, Zappa will be for Weird Wednesdays, when we do Weird Wednesdays. Right? There's a subtle distinction between Friday Night Freakouts and Weird Wednesdays. I was going to call it Weirdo Wednesday, but that sounded maybe not quite right. Lounge. If it's proper cheesy lounge, proper cheeseball lounge. I have to try to make the guitar sound like a cheap organ, like a really cheap Wurlitzer. Zappa Tango probably exists. The wheel of genres. Dude, we did a Fusion Friday. Last month, I think. Though we got kind of distracted halfway through it because somebody donated $10 and wanted me to play some Megadeth, so had to play him some Megadeth. So wait, do you want unironic mall background music? Or do you just want to do vaporwave? Vaporwave guitar? Hold on. No, that's not buried enough. We got to get the mix control way up. Getting there. It needs like a little more. I need something to make it a little more lo-fi and grainy, though. what key that's actually in either. It's probably not in A. It's probably in like E flat or something. Close, close. You got to start adding in those harmonies, because I mean, all that stuff was like smooth jazz arrangements. All the vaporwave stuff was like sort of smooth jazz, completely inoffensive types of things. This makes your guitar sound slow. Man. Playing guitar while you slowly melt. Oh, jeez. Okay, time to wrap it up. I'm starving. But again, thanks everybody for hanging out. Get your psych whatever that you think is appropriate for Friday Night Freak Out ready for Friday, and we'll give it a go. Yeah, oh 07. oh 07 Merc. oh 07 Merc. Oh, Lord. All right. Yeah, Grim's got all the emojis. Oh, dear. All right, where's the